This is Sara Britto. I am a health advocate, amongst other things. I am this month's featured ARTrepreneur.
All right, Sara, you are our featured ARTrepreneur for the month of August. It's going to be August when we release this.
Okay,
And
summer, bloom.
You did. So tell us, what is your life's art?
I feel like my life's an art just by my way of creating experiences. I enjoy creating experiences for people, whether that's through one-on-one conversations or events. So I feel like I have the opportunity every day to create art through experiences.
Awesome. Tell me about a recent experience that you've had where it's like it just lifted you up, it felt like you were actually providing an art for somebody else, giving them a really true experience from Sara's viewpoint.
Yeah, I feel like in this new stage I'm at with my new business and my new company, when it comes to serving people with like healthcare, was something that always made me feel uncomfortable because it's a lot of pressure, because you're dealing with someone's livelihood in an aspect. But when I have conversations with people, and I'm able to serve them in a way that made their day, just really, really fulfills me. And I've found purpose in what I do daily, whether that's selling health insurance or talking about health insurance. Like, I've made it, thank God, a way that it's like purposeful to me.
What are some hobbies that you have? What are some other things that you do that kind of create the foundation for your spirit and how you're able to create experiences in a professional atmosphere?
Yeah, I think hobbies and solitude time is really important, especially to people who are like maybe a little extroverted or have a job where they are constantly talking to people, or a business owner who's constantly needing to network. So I really enjoy the beach. I really enjoy gardening. I like to work out, play some sports. Not really sports, but some fun outside, really. Just like moving my body, yoga, tennis. And I really enjoy photography as well. I think that's something that I always put down whenever life gets busy, but I always pick it up if I feel like being creative at that point in my life.
Have you personally had any experiences where you realized how important health and healthcare resources are? Something that you might have experienced or a family member?
I've seen people drown in debt due to medical bills because they didn't have health insurance. Or I've seen people needing to get things done for their body, for preventative health, where they can't afford until they had the health insurance. So I've seen it in action. I've seen it happen to my friends, to my colleagues, to my community, where people have suffered for not having this resource, which could be free to them, right? It depends, it's all very situational, but I've seen it. And I've dealt with it hands-on, and we've been able to help them. Others, we help them afterwards and like the aftermath. So yes, I have seen some crazy stuff.
Name your most significant, your most fun project to date that you've worked on, like your biggest achievement as far as being able to serve and make an impact as well as have a good time. First thing that comes to your mind.
I've done a lot of cool events, but I think outside of health insurance, because I've always been an event coordinator, so I've done some really cool stuff, like just for festivals in general, like, done stuff for 3 Points, or I did a really cool experience for Raw Pop-Up years ago, maybe like 6 years ago now, where I created a space of collaboration and music in a room, and people who didn't play music were just brought to this room to collaborate with musicians and people who didn't play, and that was just a really cool time. Regarding my newest events, I would have to say would be Everyday Praise. I think that would be like the coolest, most fun event we've done, because I've never really seen a community get together and do, like a choir and it really be just so impactful for everyone that was part of it and the community itself. So I thought that was cool.
Rolling Bliss?
That's so funny. What a throwback. Where'd you find that? I think I'm gonna bring that back and do like a project called like Rolling Bliss with health insurance.
What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start their own ventures similar to Rolling Bliss? And what is Rolling Bliss?
Yeah, Rolling Bliss was my baby. That was when I was just 20 years old and I started doing events in Miami, and I kind of just did my first event. I was like, oh, I need to be a business owner. Like, this is my start. I'm gonna do this. I didn't know for how long or why I was doing it, but like I had a big drive in my heart just to do it. So Rolling Bliss is my baby. No longer exists. But I think it's transpired in other aspects, like my current business. But yeah, I think my biggest advice to entrepreneurs is just go for it. Like, don't be afraid to do that first event, do that first shoot, charge that first client, like just do it.
How do you feel about the connection of like social impact to events in general?
In the community?
How important is social impact to the events that you, in general, in like the Miami area or wherever you've seen events? How important is it to you to have social impact be a part of those community events or experiences?
Yeah, I think events go really, what's the word? Like, they're not recognized as being popular. Like, big companies, we don't notice, but they have little events everywhere and they're impacting us heavily. So why aren't us, the community leaders doing events to make that same type of social impact? Like, if one person is making one kind of change or has something they want to say, like it's a word of mouth thing. So events, in my opinion, are super imperative, but they go really like outlook. People are like, oh, events, like, yeah, but no, events have a really big stake in community, 100%. It could be positive or negative too.
What is something that you would like to see done in like popular entertainment events that are happening right now that could also bring enlightenment and empowerment to our community? What is something that they could do differently?
Like Sony and Warner Brothers, things like that.
All these concepts
Coca-Cola.
that we're doing, what is something that they could just do different? Like if you were running
the smaller ones or the big ones?
The big ones.
Oh, the big ones.
Like 3 Points,
like the big
Rolling
festivals.
Clouds, the big festivals, the big events. What could they do differently? And it's just, they're bringing out the masses, right?
Yeah.
To these events, and of course they're gonna have the free water, and it's a good time to make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah.
What is something that those spaces could do to, since they've got everybody in one place?
100%.
What would you do?
Yeah, if I was the owner of Rolling Loud or 3 Points or Bonnaroo or EDC, I would definitely make some kind of corner, social impact corner, right? Where we can talk about the things that we're all hiding about, maybe like elections, health, how we can bring up one another. I think these festivals, the big focus is how to escape your reality, but why are we trying to escape our reality so hard? Why don't we deal with it hardcore, like in the core, in the heart? And I think if I was a CEO of any of these festivals, I would bring up those type of conversations that people don't want to have.
What would be a cool way to do it? You have any ideas off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think like a little pop-up, a little simulated, a little container where it's fun and engaging and people are just able to have these conversations, like if it's a safe space, and however you think a safe space looks like, that could look so many other ways, right? But just like a big sign that says like, let's talk, just something like that in that light.
Even like safe space, right?
Yeah, even just like safe space. Yeah, I know festivals have a lot of things like that where people who are intoxicated could go and relax and breathe, and I think that's safe. But again, the big question is, why are we trying to escape our reality?
Okay. You mentioned in a past interview that surrounding yourself with the right people is crucial. How do you stay inspired and motivated in your line of work? Are there any books, podcasts, or mentors that significantly influence your journey?
Yeah, I think right now I'm in a very new journey that includes my wellness of physical and mental health. I've never cared about really working out or going to therapy. I always used people as my escape, as my comfort, but now as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that I really only have like myself. Not to say that people around me don't comfort me still. That's still very valid and I still do that very much, but the things that I can do for myself, like going to the gym, making sure I take a walk outside every single day, making sure I'm doing something for my mental health, making sure I'm praying, making sure I'm in faith and hope, I think that has changed my life drastically. And yeah, that changes also the type of people you're around too, I think.
Okay. Name your 3 favorite books.
Damn it, Glendon. You can't do that on the spot. This is like I'm on a date. Feels like I'm on a date. My 3 book recommendations would be, I read The Alchemist a really long time ago by Paulo Coelho, and I really enjoyed it. I feel like that's always a very impactful book that people should read. I also really enjoyed Colleen Hoover, but she's kind of like a young adult romance book. So if you're into that, you know, she's great. She's got a lot of books. And there's this branding book that I'm reading right now. I just cannot remember the name of it, but I will make sure to get you guys the name. It's by these 2 authors, and basically they're having discussions with a bunch of huge CEO marketing people, right? These like big people that have worked for huge companies, and they're basically just interviewing them, and it's like a dialogue between the author and the CEO talking about like branding and marketing. And it's cool, it's a different way of reading a book because you're listening to a dialogue and it's like an interview. So I think that's pretty cool. The artists. Okay, so All Day, Every Day, FKJ, right? I've been listening to Alex Jean, who's this Christian rapper who I'm currently obsessed with. He's awesome. I'm also a big fan of 70s music, so Earth, Wind & Fire is my top favorite artist. And I saw them last year at 3 Points. Thanks, 3 Points, for bringing them through. Wait, they weren't at 3 Points. They were at another festival. Okeechobee. It was Okeechobee. And Ambrosia. Do you guys know Ambrosia? They're awesome. And then of course a little bit of pop, some Two Door Cinema. They always like bring up my energy. So yeah, I really like all those artists. Hope this helps.
Favorite Earth, Wind & Fire song?
I guess September, but there's so many good ones. I can just put their album all day. I don't really know like songs.
That's what's up.
I have great memories with that song. When I used to throw my events, started at my house.
House parties?
I would do like house parties.
Did your mom throw you?
My mom was there,
Okay.
present, and she would dance with me and my friends, Earth, Wind & Fire. So it's just such a vibe. Anyone can vibe with them. So yeah.
I like that transition. You brought up dancing with mom. Tell me about how your relationship, how would you describe the growth of your relationship with your mom? And how important it is to you now to have a relationship with your mom?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of friends who have really bad relationships with their mom. And whenever I hear their stories, it makes me reflect because my mom and I have a really good relationship. Like she genuinely really wants to work on our relationship. And I feel like I'm always the one doing a pushback because, you know, when we're teenagers, like, oh, parents are so uncool, you know, you're embarrassing me. But I think the older I get, it's a totally different dynamic. So I think I'm just really grateful to have a mom that is continuously trying to like better herself and praying over her family breaking these generational curses that a lot of our families carry. So, yeah.
So, how's your relationship with your dad?
My dad, I've always been a daddy's girl. Always, 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 always. I've always been obsessed with my dad. He's currently in Brazil. He moved back. He was in Miami for 27 years. But he moved back to be with my grandma and just kind of live a more chill life. I miss him every day because, I'm a daddy's girl. So I always wish that he's here, to help me with my stuff, my car. I always have car problems. I don't know why girls struggle with that, but we always have car problems. So I do miss him, but we're good too. I just think my parents are completely different, so relationships are different. So we have a very cool, very superficial relationship. Hey, how's work? Are you good? Are you eating? Yeah, I'm eating, so it's different. But my mom is how's your heart today? And I'm like, oh my God, girl.
Yeah.
She likes to strike a bone.
So what are some things that you did to learn how to navigate having, your parents not together, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my parents got divorced when I was really young, 11 years old. I had a very different attitude when I was young. When they got divorced, my initial thought was oh my God, 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays. But guys, I'm going through therapy and I'm digging deep onto why I felt like this, because that's not really normal. So yeah, I think I'm always trying to please my parents, and I always want to be the good girl that they, envisioned. So I do my best to honor my parents, but I make a lot of mistakes, especially as a teenager.
Yeah, but we get forgiveness, right?
Yes.
And tell me about you were saying before we got started today that you've been really involved with the church and your spirituality. How do you manage spirituality now? Because we're all sinners, right?
Yeah.
And we're never going to be perfect. We're going to want to go outside and have a good time, but then at the same time represent the kingdom. How do you find that balance, and what is your advice to spiritual growth?
That's such a great question. How do we balance just living in the world and being spiritual? Because I think I grew up in a Christian home, but it wasn't until recently that I got back into my faith, and I'm going to be baptized next week, and I'm very excited. Well, wait, it's August. I did it already. I was baptized. Getting back to my faith in that way that's not just religion has been hard, because it's so easy for us to be better and then look at people and judge and be a little religious. So I think that's something that you have to have a real relationship with God and Jesus so that he can catch you and he can be why are you judging this person? I think that's the biggest thing, is spirituality is when you can notice these things and you're not in denial, because we're going to make mistakes. Hands down, we're going to make mistakes, so.
The COVID-19 pandemic affect you and your career at all?
Yes, COVID-19 broke me. It tore me apart. COVID, I was the most depressed that I've ever been in my life. I went through a really annoying breakup as well. And I was doing my events at the time. And of course, the pandemic told everyone you can't be around people, events, you gotta cut that, so I lost a lot of clients at the time, and I also had broken something on my foot, so I was on crutches. It was just a really, really low point. So my mom, as the encourager that she is, she was working at the agency that we currently now work with. She's like, why don't you just get your license? Do something that's gonna build your confidence. Do something that you can use afterwards. Because I also had just graduated college, but I couldn't walk.
Where'd you go
It was
to school?
so sad. FIU.
What'd you study at FIU?
I went to school for public relations and advertisement. So I graduated, didn't even get recognized, right? You do school all this time, and it was just like so awkward. Like, it was just such an awkward time. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get my license because there was nothing to do during the pandemic. So like, might as well not wallow and do something that's gonna like build me. So I chose to get my license, and that's kind of when everything changed for me. And that's when I started working in the healthcare business. And I think the pandemic also really, really broke, of course. I mean, it was a very tragic time, but it made people realize how important your health was. So I think it was such a blessing that I was able to get into this business at such a unique time, that we were able to really serve people in a unique way.
I'd like to create a segment of when we do these interviews called the Shh, It's a Secret, all right? So I would like you to tell us your secret, most wildest dream, something that you want to achieve in your life that it's like no one knows that Sara actually wants to be a skydiving instructor. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
That's funny. I mean, that's like so broad, right? Because I would love to do so many things. Like, I'd love to be a pilot. Like, how cool, a female pilot? Small, petite like me, I'd love to do that, be a pilot. I'd love to, I've always been into government, so I've always wanted to be part of just government and like, you know, be part of people who, right, really make the difference. But I could, right? I've always wanted to be a secret reporter, a stringer, which is like, you know, someone who writes stories, but like real stories, and distributes them to networks. But media is so weird right now these days, so I might just do it anyway and just start a blog. But yeah, there's so many things.
I think those are some good ones though.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to you. Have you ever done like flight lessons?
No.
All right. All right.
That's a big one.
What would you like to share with the young creatives and entrepreneurs who are just starting their journeys, especially those facing pressures of their conventional career paths?
Yeah, entrepreneurs, I think I was talking to Linda about this before our interview, that a dream, my opinion, is a goal that has just not been met yet. So if you have this dream to be a photographer and a videographer and you want to quit your 9-to-5, do it, but be safe and make sure that you have a savings for like, 6 months so that you can really push and give your business everything you got. Because if you're trying to survive and do your business, it's just gonna be maybe a little discouraging, but I mean, you will get through it, right? And never give up, because failure comes from, giving up. True failure, because I think it's good to make mistakes and you'll have failures, but if you give up, then that'll be your ultimate failure. Hey guys, I'm Sara Britto and this is Behind the Art.